So again, I want to thank you all. I appreciate you taking your time to share with us today. And I want to introduce to you Reverend Dr. William H. Robinson, Jr., who serves as the Executive Director for Better Community Development. So he's going to share with you about the significance of MLK Day. One of the things at BCD, we do not get MLK Day off as a holiday. Reverend Robinson was very clear that it should be a day on, not a day off. So we never forget the fact that we continue to work. He said Dr. King would not want us on vacation shopping on his holiday. He would want us out serving. And he knew that if he allowed his staff to have a holiday, they would not be out serving, they would be at the shopping center. So, Reverend Robinson, let's give him a hand.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I can remember as we went through the struggle after Martin's death that there was a real hassle about getting a holiday for Martin Luther King. I can remember going to the state capitol year after year after year, up there fighting and fussing. I started to say cussing, but I got in trouble cussing every day, so I better say fussing about the significance of having a holiday in the honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. And finally, after 7 years, we got a breakthrough, and then they kind of quasi had a little semi-holiday. And then after continually struggling, they finally passed it where everybody except Arizona voted to accept this as being a holiday. And that was a significant event. Everybody felt extremely well about it. But it did take but just 2 years and all that enthusiasm that was put forth in trying to get a holiday granted somewhat kind of fizzled away. Living in a capitalist society, you know, we're about bucks and money. It was just obvious that with our visiting that the persons, in fact, who were on Wall Street and in big business was going to use that day as to exploit it in order to have, well, we got Easter, they exploited that. Christmas, they exploited that. And we ought to have sense enough to know if they exploit Jesus, they were going to exploit Martin. So it would be just exploited into a holiday whereby that we would take advantage of it, and then we'd have this big, great Martin Luther King sale somewhere downtown, around town, and across town, and there would be those parties going on all over town. I don't know what they were going to serve because they already did ham during Easter and the turkey during Thanksgiving and Christmas. I guess they would have probably served rabbit something for our holiday. I don't know. But nevertheless, we felt like that this is not what the Martin Luther King piece was about. It's not what he stood for. It was about service and about being at work, trying to bring about a better change for the America which we live in and which we share one to it with another. And so we decided that we would have a day on rather than a day off, because it's certainly important that if you know anything about the Martin Luther King story, that he was about trying to bring about equality for all men, wherever they may be, women, children, regards to who they were. And so that was the position that we take, that we would work hard. We always had a Martin Luther King celebration. We've had Andy Young and all of the other persons, lieutenants, basically, who will work with Martin Luther King during that particular time to speak to us, pushing forward for Martin Luther King's holiday. But as we said, as I said just a minute ago, the thing was about how do we demonstrate and act out what we talk about. You know, we have some great orators. Oh boy, you know, they can make things sound great and what have you. But when it comes down to being about the work, try to change the life of the person within the society in which we live in, then in fact, somehow we just kind of fizzle by the wayside. So we saw it as being a day on. And we, as I said, we went through all these ordeals, and we want to make sure that we continue to follow that footstep. So that's where we are here today. I'm glad to have you all out here because I think it was a year or two ago we had breaking ground for this on King's holiday. We started off tearing down many of the houses in the community that would used to be drug houses and were a lot of blight on King holiday. So we always found something positive, something significant to do to try to make community better. And that's our motto, rebuilding lives and changing the community. And that's what we're about. And so for you young people who are here today, I just hope that we can kind of screw it in your brain that it's not about a holiday, it's not just about taking off, it's not just about missing a day from work, but it's about being at work, trying to bring about a better community for the society which we are gifted to be a part of. God has called all of us for a day such as this, where we can begin to exercise our skills, whatever it may be. You know, this guy right over here, this painter. Yes. Yeah, painter. He ought to be somewhere painting somebody's house today. But we have to give him the money so he can get to paint that person's house. So we just missed that great opportunity of putting him to work today to share some of his skills with somebody in the community who needs that kind of work. I don't know what your skills are. I know that there are just a lot of things you all could do. But I guarantee you, if we began to pool our minds and our thoughts and our resources together, then in fact we can bring about a change that will be appreciated for a lifetime. And you don't imagine what that little bit that you do on a day-to-day basis could mean to somebody else for enhancing their life for a lifetime. We are the change we're looking for. We talk about change. Nobody is going to come in on a big white horse, you know, riding armor, and going to change our community. The way it's going to happen, it has to happen individually within us, our thoughts, our thinking, our minds, our actions, our deeds, in order to bring about a better community. So I'm just glad to have all of you all here, and I'd like for you to pledge. I don't want to get into any trouble because he got that thing on over there. With the pledge, but isn't it strange, I'm going to say it anyway, how folks can pledge not to do something, but won't pledge to do nothing. You know, I'm talking about the red and the blue now. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all, you get the message. Folks on the red side say, you know, we're going to pledge not to help people. And the other on the blue side, we're going to do the best we can to try to help people. But not really pledge hard enough to say we're going to fight both sides one another. So let us begin to look at ourselves as being the person who our community needs to bring about that change so that we can have a greater society in which we can live in. And we always talk about leaving a legacy for our children. We don't want to leave no debt. Well, I think they have a debt to make sure that they carry on the legacy of Martin Luther King. And we shouldn't let them out without paying that debt. And it does not necessarily mean dollars and cents, but it means carrying that spirit. Because Martin was carrying the debt. The debt was the one that was embraced in him by Jesus the Christ. And if Martin paid his debt, then we ought to be able to pay our debt. So check the debt, make sure your debt is in order so that we can begin to move forward. Thank you all very much for coming. And I know that Carla and Deborah and all the folks from wherever you are, they sent you here because you're the best. They didn't send you out here just to represent them. They sent you out here because they saw something in you. And you represent them. and that which we represent ought to be from God, and thank God for each and every one of them. Amen.
Thank you.
I used to be a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader. So, I am used to being, on the floor clapping. I'm used to being rallying for people. I used to rally for Horsemen, Bearcats. Yeah, that's been a long time ago. Oh, I shouldn't say that. But anyhow, I'm used to doing that. So I started being a cheerleader for people who were the least, the last, and the lost. You got that?
Right.
The least, the last, and the lost. And I do that because for me, it's not only my career, my profession. I came out of corporate America, Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, AT&T. I did training. I was a manager. I was trying to climb the ladder to get all those things that I thought I needed to be me. But I found out that I didn't need a lot to be me because there were a lot of people who had nothing. So for me, I'm just excited about being now a cheerleader for the least, the last, and the lost. And the other reason why I enjoy doing that work is because I love the fact of seeing a person grow, empowering people to come out of their addiction, to come out of the domestic violence, to come out of being homeless, to come out of not having a job. I love doing that type work. And for me also, it's a justice issue. It deals with justice, work justice, economic justice, social justice. So I am now a cheerleader for the least, the last, and the lost in communities like the community that we're sitting in today. And then the other part of that is the fact that, sometimes we have to erase our stereotypes. When I say the word inner city, what do you think of? Ghetto, okay. What else?
Poor.
Poor. Inner city, what else you think of? Black. Inner city, what do you think of?
I think they got them all.
Beg pardon?
I think they got them all. That's pretty much what I think.
What about you?
Yeah, minorities, Hispanics.
Minorities, Hispanics. What about inner city?
Small convenience shops.
Small convenience shops. What about you? Inner city.
In the city, the trouble,
Trouble. Negative.
crime,
Crime. Poverty. Liquor stores. Homeless. People on the corner. Dope. You ever heard of dope?
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. There's different types of dope. You know that. What's the cyclist's name? Who there? Okay. But that wasn't dope. What was that? That was drugs. So, you just think about the words that we use. So again, the fact that we're able to do what we do here, Black Community Developers was the name that we were. Even though we were black, we served all people. But when we started off in this community, that was what was here. 2 years ago, we changed our name to Better Community Development. So we're still serving people, still doing what we do. Started off doing a children's program, daycare. That lady right there was the daycare director for about how many years?
25.
25 years she served as a daycare director. Right out of high school, a little bit near to a college, started being one of our daycare directors. She grew to that level. So we had 61 people who were in daycare. We started daycare because the people in the community said we needed daycare. We didn't start a daycare because we had a business plan and we were professionals and we went to school and got a degree in education and we said we were going to do a daycare. No, we started daycare because people in the community said we wanted daycare. And that's what we did some 30-something years ago. And from daycare, we started a gang intervention program. Do y'all remember when Bill Clinton was running for president the first time, the HBO special, Banging in Little Rock? Okay, Banging in Little Rock. So we, Better Community Development, was very actively participating in gang intervention and gang violence. We actually run a program which is funded from the city of Little Rock to do youth and gang development. And then we moved to start providing services for homeless. There was a family who had been burned out of their home, mother, father, and 3 children. And United Way called and said, we'd like to find a place for this family to stay. The Russell Hoover United Methodist Church is the church that's right down the street, which is the outreach arm. BCD is the outreach arm of those programs. So we allow the families to reside there. So from daycare to youth and gang intervention to being a homeless program, and most of the people who started coming to homeless program were persons who had an addiction. So then we started doing CA groups, AA groups, and from that it was decided that, well, maybe we just need to look at becoming a licensed certified program with the state of Arkansas. So BCD is licensed by the state of Arkansas to provide residential and outpatient for men and women 18 years and older. So from there we said, well, okay, people start calling us because all of the gang violence that was in the community, people who own homes decided we don't want to live here anymore, and they abandoned their homes. So then they started calling Reverend Robinson, who was the pastor at that time and is the executive director for BCD. They called and started giving him houses. I mean, they didn't want them. They was vacant. There's too much happened, you know, all the crime and stuff. You can have these houses. We don't want them. Well, little did we know, and it's a God thing. I can say that because we're faith-based, that those were gifts. We weren't sure what we were going to do with them, but now we build homes for first-time home buyers. In this community, we built 62 homes. We have home buyer counseling classes that are held the first Saturday of every month, where we can have from 20 to 25 people there who are coming to become certified so that they can qualify for a grant that the city provides up to $25,000. The homes range from $100,000 to $125,000. If you go through the class, you can actually get a $25,000 grant. So you go into a home having $25,000 worth of equity. It's not a Habitat house. We have a construction manager who manages the project. You're able to select your colors, your carpet, basically everything, your floor plan that you want. There are 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage. They come with all of the appliances, stainless steel. I don't qualify to that. But anyhow, so those are things that we offer. And today you are really blessed because you sit in a brand new facility. Praise the Lord. Which is called the Empowerment Center. It took us 7 years to get this building here. We spent about 4 years just trying to find a site, the property, because we got about 5 or 6 drawings. You know, it's always, I don't want that in my community. I don't want those people in my community. We were already doing substance abuse treatment 2 blocks down the street. And when we got ready to have this property zoned, some of the people in the community said, I don't want that in our community. I don't want those people in our community. It took us 1 year to do our community organizing and do development and meet new partners to prove to them that this would be the facility that they would be happy to have. And you know what, and they're so proud now of this building. You know, one lady who was so against us moving into this building, we were at the city board meeting, y'all, and we had to purchase about 2 homes for people who lived on this block here. They both Jones family. Miss Jones, who was a single 73-year-old widow, whose house, Jesus, she needed to move out of it. But she didn't trust us because the neighbors were saying, they're not going to build you a new home. Well, you should see her house now. She's so happy. She just comes up here and walks around the building and takes pictures now because she used to live here, and where she lives now is amazing. So one of the ladies who was so totally opposed to us moving into this facility went on, got to the mic at the city board meeting and said, we don't want them because da-da-da, all the stereotypes. And the strange thing about it, she had a nephew who was actually in the program. Hello? Does that make sense? Okay, but anyhow, she didn't want them. They live in the community. So needless to say, I saw her at the Alex at the 12th Street Wellness Center ribbon cutting. And do you know what she came up to Reverend Robinson and said? Reverend Robinson, that building's so nice. Can I get a job? Hello? So she came and told me, she said, Reverend Robinson asked her about daddy. She said, I went over to your daddy and I said, Reverend Robinson, can I get a job? She said, and he did like this. And you know what I did? I did like So anyhow, you never know. I mean, people really, it's all about trust and relationships. Will we give her a job? Oh, there's Reverend Robinson right there. I was going to say a curse word, but I ain't going to say it now. But no, she won't get a job here anytime soon unless God changes my heart, and he might do that, but I doubt it, seriously. But anyhow, so that's what we are, and that's where you are now. It's 24,000 square feet. It is a very unique model that is not being modeled anywhere else around the country, where you have a substance abuse program, residential, 24 beds, men and women, 2 different wings, women on that wing, men on this wing, and then also a separate part of the program, but we're in the same property, is the Empowerment Village. The village is 24 beds, 24 room apartments. They're single room occupancy, very similar to dormitories. And this is for persons with special needs. They can have a mental health issue, they can have substance abuse, HIV, or low to no income, where they actually can rent from us. We provide the supportive services, the case management, and what we're going to do is work very closely with them to empower them where they don't have to stay in this type of setting. In most cases, there are people who might be college students, you know, who relocated from somewhere, and they're just taking a chance because they want to go to school and they can't afford to live in a dormitory, because dormitories are pretty expensive, aren't they? What, anybody live in a dormitory with the college payment over here? I know they're expensive. Who? Oh, you do? Okay. What's your what do you pay? Do you know?
I'm in the studio apartment, and it's $6.15 a month.
$6.15 months. Okay. So we can beat that. You might want to come live with us. You might want to be RA or something, you know. But again, there are lots of opportunities. Also, one of the things that we were blessed with is a commercial kitchen. Initially, when we talked about relocating and building a facility, right now, in the past, we've served about 62 people, 3 meals a day, 365 days. So, you know, you don't have to have a large kitchen for 60-something people. But when you see that kitchen, it is truly a commercial kitchen. And our plans now, we are working with Pulaski Tech, who will have one of their apprentices to come to do their 2-year apprenticeship with us, serve as our lead chef. We will also allow persons who live in the village or who might be one of our clients in treatment who's interested in culinary, where they can actually get some training under that person and eventually get enrolled at Pulaski Tech if their interests continue to stay there. So again, we talk about training, we talk about empowering, we talk about teaching. One of the things that, we can bring that Obama over here, we're celebrating also not only Martin Luther King's birthday, but we also are in the weekend for the inauguration of Obama. And one of the things I saw, and he said, we are the ones we've been waiting for. So everybody at this table, we are the ones we've been waiting for. We keep waiting for someone to advocate and do something. We are the ones we've been waiting for to make a change in the community, to make a transformation. We are the change we seek. So as I look at each of you today, that is what I'm thinking. You are the change that can make a difference on this side of that interstate. Another thing what does the interstate do? Think about the interstate. What does it do with a group of people? Division. Division. So when you think about, when I was growing up, oh gosh, I'm about to tell my age again. When I was growing up, it was the railroad track. Anybody remember that? The railroad track was what divided the blacks from the whites, the poor from the rich. I mean, just the railroad track. Now it is what? Interstate. 2 or 3 blocks away. UAMS, buildings everywhere. 2 blocks on this side, abandoned, gang-infested community. So if we are really going to be community, it's going to take people like you all. I love working with young people because, you know, you don't get stuck into a system that has always done things a certain way. You can be creative. That was the thing I enjoyed about leaving Southwestern Bell. In corporate America, there is a practice. Carla knows this. At Integer, there's a practice, and you do 1A, 1B. You can't skip to 3. You got to go by. But when you do community development, there is no roadmap. And that's the thing that I love, is that we can create and make it be what we want to be. So it takes people who are young, energetic, and passionate. If you aren't passionate about community development, you don't need to get in this lane. Because there is no system. You create what you want. And so again, I want to thank you all, because today you're helping us to create a possible business venture by you going out in the community on 12th Street here. How many of y'all been on 12th Street before? Okay, good. Did you stand outside for a while? Or did you run in like some people do? Come on, tell the truth. That's okay. I understand.
I stood out there until somebody told me to go in the house.
Okay. So again, but what we plan to do is pair you with people who are actually some of our people that we serve, some of our people who are alumni, but people who are from the community, because we don't want anybody to feel like they need to run. The thing is feeling comfortable with where you are, and you just fit right in.